getting back to the question and really helping yourself apply cards to what you are reading in them, to the question that you actually ask. I see a lot of people, it's hard when you're first starting to try and figure out the meanings of the cards while at the same time applying them to the question. When it's a new way of reading, sometimes you're so busy figuring out what the cards are trying to say that you forget what you asked. So first of all, set up a very clear, crisp question that's very precise when you're doing little card readings that are just a couple cards. And let's say someone were to ask a question like, I had a job interview and I'm wondering if I'll get the job. And these three cards come up. So using the Antiquarian Lenormand, I get Heart, Scythe, and Snake. So if you were to put this out for people and say, what do you see these? Well, I get it. People may say, your heart's been broken. There's another woman. She may impact your ability to go to the interview emotionally. They start talking about more relationship type things because of the heart having come up. But if you really take it back to the question, then we have something that she really loves to consider, the scythe, especially he's pointing it right at that heart, something dangerous to the heart or something that will hurt the heart. It's a little bit of pain here. And then you have the snake, which can be another person, another woman, or trouble. But it basically suggests that either someone else may get the job, the other woman, something may happen where this may be difficult for her. She may feel sad that she didn't get it. So the final card kind of defines the outcome of what's going to happen, or the mood of the other two cards. So applying this to the actual question, will I get the job, these cards suggest probably not. You have these two difficult cards afterward. Let's suppose you have a person ask about a relationship. They just met someone, they want to know what the relationship will be like. So you put down some cards and you get Tree and Whip. So if you put these cards down and people start describing them, someone may say, wow, health issues, criticisms about health, someone abuses their health. And while the cards may be trying to say something like that, the question is about the relationship. So when we look at this, this could be family legacy or something that happens for a long time. Trees grow over a long period of time, something that's steady, slow. And then you have the Whip, which can mean anything from sexuality to abuse to criticism, picking on, pick. And when you put these two cards together in terms of an actual relationship, you have a long time of criticism. A long time where you may feel that things are being criticized, you're being criticized. It could be actual things about yourself that are being criticized, but also could be a long sexual relationship. So if you want to ask which of the two it is, narrow it down, because you may have great sex and still be abused and feel it or criticized and picked on. So one may be good and one may not. So narrow down your question. When you have little tiny spreads like this, you're trying to communicate with the cards, they're trying to communicate with you, but you have to set up a good, clear language between you. So if you're not sure, just ask, well then, tell me about our sexual relationship. And then you can pull two cards and see what randomly comes up. Here we have lilies and bouquet. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. Then let's ask about whether they're good to me or not. So let's see how to pull. Anchor and mountain. There's our issue. There's our issue. So long time setting port, and it's just a real big mountain trying to stay there for a long time. Lots of obstacles and trouble. So it's how the person is being treated. So in this relationship, the sex may be good, but how the person is treated or respected doesn't appear to be so much. So don't be afraid to break it down if two cards aren't enough and the language isn't speaking to you. Whittle down the question so it's more precise and gets the answers that you need to. All you want to do is communicate with the cards. So just like you would with a foreigner, try and narrow down language to make sure that you're speaking to each other clearly, and you may have to use different words. It's okay to ask the question in a different way. Now this does not mean you shouldn't really pay attention to what the cards put there for you. So let's say that same person said, I went on a job interview. Will I get the job? And then you get something like this. So we have fox, dog, and letter. Fox can represent a job, a position, a job position. It can also be a manipulative person. And here we have dog, which is about friend and loyalties. And letter is just that. It's about the written word, something that happens with the written word. So if you're looking at this for a yes, no, you're like, okay, well, this is a positive card. Is this negative? So let's narrow these down. So Fox, if this is job, so if you want the job, the loyalty of the job may depend on a letter. Maybe a resume, something that's written in there, or something from, put these two cards together, they're right by each other, they're talking to each other. This relationship, the thread between them is going to be what bonds them to create a new meaning. So a friend who writes something, you may need to get a referral from someone. So these two cards may be referral. The job depends on the referral. Loyalty, the person that's that's hiring you, so the job, loyalty, someone being loyal to you or wanting you to work there, may be dependent on the referral. So whether it's a yes or no may depend on whether or not this happens. Get your referrals plumped up and in order. So here's what an activity you can try, where you can try and really push yourself to get more words out of the cards and to keep you going back to the question. So get yourself a journal and a pen. I'm going to use a large pen just so we can all read it. And let's talk about some of the more common questions people might ask. So we've got relationship, we've got money, job, and always this one seems to come up is someone returning. All right, so let's say these four things. So what I would suggest you do is get your notebook out, and we're going to do this. 1, 2, 3. So let's ask about that last one, someone returning. Let's take out our deck, shuffle it up, and you're going to randomly pull one card, and I get the child. So the child card, how would you apply this to this question? This context has to talk to this context. So you're not going to be asking about somebody's child. You're not going to be asking about naivete. You're going to be asking about, will they come back? Very practical question. Will they come back? What does the child mean for you? Does it mean new starts? Well, it may be. Is it with this person or another person? That you can find out. But let's first see what that child could mean. So you may want to say new starts. If it's a beginning, is it with this person or with another person? So let's take a second card and see where it takes us. So now we have a 2-card reading. We've got child and whip. Child and whip. So let's see where this takes us. Now I'm going to write the card I got. You can put it anywhere in here so that when you go back on it later, you can add things to it. You can go back and see what you might have said if you're confused. But now we've got child and whip. All right, so these two cards together. So remember, the second card, the whip, describes the first. So you've got criticisms about starts. This is not looking quite so good. This is now starting to describe this. We now have issues and criticisms. It's like a repeated pattern too. So if people see patterns with the whip, it's like over and over. So this may even be starting again, quitting, starting again, quitting, starting if this relationship could be an on and off type relationship. But we're now seeing that there is more trouble applied to this. So I would say, you could say it's patterns of on and off. You could say it's criticizing, returning. Because if the child is about a start, a new start, they may be criticizing going back, having a new start, and make a list of what those 2 cards could mean. Now let's add one more just for the mix and randomly pull one out, and I get scythe. So we now have child, whip, and scythe. With these 3 cards, now you have a new reading, and you may ask yourself to further whittle this down again. So now you've got danger or endings, or something's cut because of criticisms about starting. And you can see the longer type reading and more precision that comes out of more cards. It starts setting up the sentence for you and talking about the flow of what's going to happen. So criticism, pain about starting. So if you were to ask someone about will somebody return, and you look at these 3 cards, you can now see that if they have the pattern of returning, it's likely going to end up in an ending. But the overall flow of this relationship is it will eventually come to a stop. It's if it continues, it will be a dangerous thing to continue. So that is the way we read these 3. Now what you can do is, if you're practicing your 1-card readings and you're just starting out and you're afraid to do combos, you can take your deck, and I'm just going to take my cards here, and I'm going to randomly pull them down, and the question still remains, will they be coming back? So I'll say returning. This is about a relationship, and 1 card would be, I just randomly pull down the rider. Would they be returning? It could be. There's a message, so you just want to say message, movement, and you'll see how you may want to know more from this card by drawing a second one, but just pull it out. So if this has to do with the relationship, would it come back? Okay, next I pull mountain, so that's 21. Mountain. Would this mean coming back? Ooh, I would see like blockages. I would see obstacles. I would say this would be a long, long haul. And if I pull, let's see, 18, so if I pull the dog, I may get, will they be returning? The dog is very loyal. He keeps coming back. It's unconditional love. So this would be loyalty, faithfulness. So the mood of this card would nod to a yes. Then you can start doing your 2-card reading. So you can put your 2 cards down and do the same thing. Will he be returning? So you've got letter and fox, and you can start putting the meanings together. I have another video that shows ways that you can make columns and put together all the meanings for the letter, all the meanings for the fox, and you start putting threads between them to add the meanings left to right and mixing them up. And I suggest you see that video. I will put the link to that below this one in the text, so you can find that if you need it. But basically, same thing. So if this applies to relationship, what does it mean? What if this applies to job? So let's do this. We can take our 2-card readings or 1 card and say this will be relationship, this will be job, this will be, I want to know about my finances. Or I want to know about, will we get the house? We're looking to buy a house. Will we have it in the next year? So what you can do is take the cards that you get. So let's suppose I get garden and house, my 2 random cards. You can write them wherever you want at the top. I'll just put them over here for right now. So I've got garden, house. You can write which deck you got it from if you want to do that. Okay, so these 2 cards, garden, house, will he return? What do these 2 cards mean to you, and how does it apply to somebody returning? When you're looking at job, the meaning of these may shift a little bit. How does this apply to a job? With finances, how does this apply to finances? If you're asking about an actual house, it may have another meaning there. The house is actually right here. Will you get the house? This would probably mean yes. So, and again, if you're not sure, it's okay to pull another card to describe the last one and see what it means. Okay, so if you were to get, say, mice at the end of it, that'll help you know, will he return? Garden, house, mice. So the mice suggest there's something being taken away. There's the house, something or someone close to you. And the garden is about community. So it may be that this is, he's out to the community, he's now taken away. He's gone from big to small. So it may be that this person is in the community. When you look at when it comes to the house, it may be whittled away, something is taken away, he may be taken away, no, he may not return. See what it means about each of these things, what and just always keep in mind, if you get 3 cards like this, and let's say you're asking about finances, so you've got garden, house, and mice. This may be saying that the things you want to do in the community are dependent on what's being taken away from your home. So you may have to do home repairs with the house and the mice. Things are breaking down in the house, or that house payments are taking away from your ability to do things. So if you ask about finances, the mice shows a decrease in something. Look at the cards directly and see if it applies to your client and whether they have anything to do with it. The context of this may have a very literal interpretation. So you don't always have to look for something symbolic with house, like people close to you or your actual family. It could be literally the structure of the house. It could have to do with landscaping, takes money away. Something has to do with the community. Maybe there'll be some kind of a flood or something that happens to the whole community, not just your house, but it impacts your house, and that takes away, much like the tornado or hurricane victims. So if you ask about finances, this decrease from big, a lot of people, to just a house, to just the mouse, smaller, smaller. All right, and then you can apply that same thing to the other types of questions, but always take it back to the question. If this has to do with somebody returning, you're no longer going to be looking at finances being taken away, unless it has to do with this person trying to escape from any financial burdens they may have by means of escape. It doesn't really have to do with what's happening with the heart. If this is asking about a person that will they come back, and you get something like house and taken away, this means they literally may not want to come back to the home. So develop a good relationship with your cards. Think of a situation that's important in your life, a question you would want to ask, and this will help you know if you're whittling the question down as much as you want. And then take out your pad and paper and start saying, write the question. If you get this card, the stork, write what that one card would mean as applied to your life situation. What if you got the key? And then write down key, and then write what it would apply to your situation. If you get mice, what does it mean? Do that through all the card decks to help you start plugging in the cards to situations. Then, if you get more bold, start doing the 2-card readings. So what would moon and snake? One of the meanings that could have to do is applied to your situation. Then you can go through, if you want, take those same cards that you wrote down and then ask a totally different question, like what would it have to do if you asked about it going on a vacation or whatever is another situation in your life, and compare the differences of what those same cards could mean that you wrote down if you change the situation. Bring it back to the question. And also, I'm going to invite you to take a look at the literal meanings that could be in the cards. Could moon literally mean night? Could it literally mean something to do with the moon? All right, and just be a little creative with the literal pictures in the card too, if it could apply to your question.